Hey there, geeks! We are back with another Wizards Wednesday Rewind. That's right, we are reviewing this week's new comics that you voted on. We put up a poll across our social media, and you told us what you were most interested in hearing us talk about. So, Mike, why don't you tell them what the first selection was?
So the first book is Exceptional X-Men. So Adam, was this book exceptional?
Well, it was interesting. That much I'll say. Look, I
Oh,
got the Godzilla variant, which I didn't even know was a thing. I was just like, I could go with a basic cover or Godzilla. I'm gonna grab Godzilla. Plus, I know DC was supposed to be doing Beetlejuice covers this week. I did not
yes.
see any Beetlejuice covers at my store. Did you have any?
I didn't see any at my store either. Maybe it's next week, or maybe my shop
Maybe.
just didn't order it. I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure. I thought I saw it listed for this week, but
So I'm confused. Does Marvel now own Godzilla? Because they did covers for Alien and Predator when they had those licenses.
yeah, I'm
But
unclear about that because obviously, like, in the 80s, or actually, I guess it was the 70s initially, they had the Godzilla license.
yeah.
They were doing a full, Godzilla line of comics there. So I don't know what this is even tying into because that Godzilla X Kong movie was like several months back. So I don't know what is going on here. It just says Godzilla variant. That's all the seal says on there. So if
Weird.
you guys know, leave us a comment below if you're a major Godzilla fan. But let's talk about this book. So when you see the various covers, not just my
The
Godzilla one, which
main.
is
Yeah.
misleading. There's no Godzilla in here. It looks like that was what was that book from like 5 or 6 years ago? Was it A Women? What was the one that had like She-Hulk? It had like all the female,
18. Is
just
it?
the
No,
18.
not 18. Is it the wait, hold
It
on.
can't be. No.
It can't be the 18. A Force.
A Force, yeah. But I was just like the all-female Avengers team, and that's when I saw this. I was like, oh, we're building up an all-female X-Men team. Okay, like exceptional. That is cool. But I didn't know what to expect at all with this book. And from the cover, you're seeing like, oh, there's a full team. But this
Yeah.
issue, we only meet two of the characters really that are going to be on the team. So, do you want to give us a quick plot synopsis? It's pretty simple.
Yeah, it's basically just a following Kitty Pride and after her Krakoa days and how she's dealing with it and her inner monologue, and she works at a bar now. She goes on a date.
Well, she
But
tries to
no,
go on a
she
date, but
tries to go
she's
on a
too
date,
early.
and it's just too early, so she decides to enjoy herself, and she meets a mutant there who has a freak out, and then she saves the mutant. It's a very, very simple story.
Yeah.
If you're coming to this X-Men book hoping for action and X-Men, you're gonna get one X-Man, and you're gonna get a day in the life story. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
so
what
it's
it means
basically
to
just
live.
Kitty Pride living in Chicago now, saying like,
Yes.
I don't want to be an X-Men, part of the X-Men anymore. I just want to be a person I can hide out. Is that the right thing, or should
Yeah.
I be proud? Should I get involved and help other mutants because I have that training, I have that ability? What was cool about this though is yes, there's really no action. There's really nothing like sci-fi or cool about it. It's just a people story, but the people are written very well. This
Mhm.
this writer I've never heard of, Eve L. Ewing. I think she's pretty new, but she writes like a little editorial in the back, like telling about her journey and like how she was so excited to get the email offering her an X-Men book and all that. She's created original characters for this team. So we have Kitty Pryde, but then there's going to be like three new like female mutants, which is cool. So we're introduced to one of them in this story, who, near as I could tell, like she has like tendrils that come out of her body, and her body turns gold. Also, I don't.
Bronze, I think. I think her character name is Bronze, or
Oh,
will be
really?
Bronze.
Okay.
Yeah. So I
Okay.
think Eve is married to Al Ewing, who did a bunch of Marvel books.
Yeah, I've heard that name before. Okay, that
Yeah.
makes more sense.
Um, I think she's been around a while. I'm pretty sure. I
Okay.
again, I'm not no expert on this.
Yeah.
It's actually quite a beautiful book overall. The artwork, the story is really nice. I just think people need to be warned. It is not an action-packed X-Men book. Do
Yeah,
not look for
maybe 5 issues in, once all the characters are introduced, that will
this. Yeah.
happen. Like right now, we got Trista. That is this new character. And so, like, that is it. You see the Trista and Kitty relationship develop, and then it's teased at the end that Emma Frost is going to be involved, that she's just going to
Yes.
work her way into Kitty Pryde's life for no reason other than she's bored. Like that's what it seemed to be, right?
Yeah, that's the only thing that threw me off. I was like, what's happening here at the end? Did you scan the code
I
this
did
time?
scan it. What did
You
you
know
read?
what? Here, I did not scan it either. Let's do a quick scan.
Okay, let's see what these
And
extra pages are this time. You weren't so thrilled with the extra pages we
well,
got
they're
last time
good.
in
I
X
like them, but I
Factor.
just don't understand why. Okay, bonus scene. Let us know as soon as you locate her, it says, and it's like a phone with
Okay.
an
So that must be
image.
one of the new characters that they're.
Yeah. And then at the bottom, it says Robert Drake for standby to Chicago. Drake? So that must be Bobby, right?
Yeah,
Or
so Iceman's gonna be
yeah,
involved, maybe?
Iceman.
Okay.
But I don't think he's on the cover here.
Oh
I
no.
don't I
Well,
wonder
that's what I'm saying. I
that's
don't
a
think, yeah, like
yeah.
all the team members here don't look like anybody like that we've really seen before except for Emma and Kitty. And I'm sure again, there's gonna be guest stars popping in and out, but overall, I don't think it's gonna be like you say an X-Men book, or it's redefining what that can mean.
Again, this is another. I think it's actually a really good single issue, but I really wonder how this will read as a graphic novel because it would be almost be nice to keep going. Like
Yeah,
I
get
wish I
all
could.
the introductions out of the way.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, it was good. Yeah.
I feel like it's not for us, but it is a really well put together book. But I don't know yet. I don't think there's a hook yet. We don't know what, if they become a team, what are they even doing? Are they a team? Are they just people that are going to know each other, love and support each other, and help each other through their struggle as mutants? Like, what's the point of the book?
Unless the hook is who do you want to see a day in the life of a mutant living in Chicago? That's what this is. That's
Yeah.
it's ground level mutants. I don't know what would you call that?
Yeah, yeah. And
Street
what I would say
level?
is like this is a book I would give my daughter and just say, read this. I think you would enjoy this. All the types of comics, dork diaries, and all that other stuff that you read where it's just about relationships. That's what this is. And I think you'll like it, you know?
I don't I enjoyed it. I have to say. I'm curious about the next one. I just don't think it has a big enough hook to be like, here's my $5.
Yeah, like I liked it better than Spider Woman when we read that. I liked it better. I mean, yeah, I did like it better than X Factor. I will tell you that. I think it
I
was unique
forgot we read
enough.
X Factor.
Yeah. So like, and I didn't hate X Factor, but I think this was just again, if I'm gonna be
Yeah.
in this world, I like the journey it took me on, but I'm not buying the ticket to go to that world every month, you know.
My biggest criticism is there's too many X books. I'm already forgot there was X Factor. Like, I'm in on Uncanny. I like X-Men. That was great. It's just there's so many.
Yeah, I just
Maybe
looked at this checklist here.
it hurt my head looking at that. Yeah, hurt my
All right, well,
wallet.
let's get on to the next book. A book that I think we both hoped was going to give us some laughs because that is
Ew.
Plastic Man.
I
Okay.
did not want laughs, Adam.
Really?
I I'm gonna okay. This is called Plastic Man No More. I have the main cover. Adam, you got the Brian Boland variant. Is that the Brian Boland?
No, no. This is what's his name? Something this is Chris Samney and Nathan
Oh, okay.
Fairbairn. Apparently there was a Mike Allred variant, but they did not have that at my store. I would have grabbed it.
Um, so I went into this blind and kind of like, ugh, I can't believe they voted for this, and came away being like, this is making my top 10 books of the year.
Wow.
Yeah, this is body horror via Plastic Man.
That is true. That is true. I feel like
And
yeah, Cronenberg would enjoy this. Yeah.
yeah, I wish they pushed the body horror more. I'll let you give a quick synopsis of what happens,
Yeah,
but
I mean, basic synopsis is you see Plastic Man as he is with the Justice League and in his life. Nobody takes him seriously because he's always making jokes. Everybody's like, "Oh, you're hilarious. You want us just to laugh at your joke?" Yeah, all right, you know. But every time he tries to make a point, people just talk over him like serious people are talking here. Like this is Batman and Wonder Woman now. Yeah, you're so funny, Plastic Man. Anyway, so they ignore him throughout his life, and then in his personal life, you see like he had a son. He did not raise the son. He was busy being a Justice Leaguer. his wife was like upset, and so now he has nobody. He's alone in a dingy apartment. But then during a battle, he gets like shot by like this ray, and it kind of melts him. And then the next morning he wakes up and his hand has come off and he's all like goopy, like he's starting to like drip. And so Batman basically gives him a reference to a plastics expert that works for Wayne Industries, and he meets and she says, "You're gonna die. As near as I can tell, you're deplasticizing or whatever. You're coming apart, and this is maybe because you got shot by that ray, and it might be just because this is the end of your story. You had an accident that altered your body makeup and your chemistry. You might be dying." And that's
He's slowly melting, and it's starting with his arm, like, and he has to wear a he calls it a colostomy bag
yeah.
on his stump. It's quite horrifying, just the thought of it, because it's just dripping. Yeah, like even when he wakes up, his arm is dripping into a drain. It's pretty grotesque. But he wears this bag, and he discovers there is a way to save himself. But he needs like what, a giant explosion, basically an atomic bomb or
Yeah,
something.
he's like, we need to make a giant nuclear bomb. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Like, like
So
it's no big thing.
so that's the story. I
Yeah.
presume it's him going to be uh, racing against the clock trying to save himself. I'm all in on this. I love this first issue. I love the back and forth between the serious moments with Plastic Man and then jumping to those comedic. The art style changes. They hired a different artist,
Hmm.
um, Jacob Edgar, to do the Justice League stuff. And
Yeah.
I just think it's great because that's what I think of with Plastic Man. And I've said this before, I'm not into the funny comics. That's you, Adam.
Yeah.
And but it's pretty serious, and it's
Well,
kind of neat.
that's
Yeah,
what got me conflicted because I think you and I both grew up with the 80s Plastic Man
we did.
cartoon,
Yeah,
right?
I have that. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then we read for the podcast, we were reading The Kingdom, that Plastic Man one shot about his son and his
Which
relationship.
who's in this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and his son in that one loves him, even though the son's girlfriend, fiance, does not. And it's this heartwarming relationship. But now, like, Plastic Man is this sad, lonely guy. He hasn't seen his son in 6 years. He meets with his son to tell him, "You might die too if this happened to me and you inherited my powers." And his son's just like totally cold to him. He even says, "Please don't be mean to me. I don't think I can handle that right now." And so his son just basically
Oh,
walks away. He's like, "Fine,
oh.
then I got to get out of here." And so like it has real emotion, but I was conflicted because I was like, I came here thinking I was going to get a wacky Plastic Man story, and we're doing like Dark Days of Plastic Man, which I applaud because they're doing it well. But I don't know if that's what I wanted out of this book. So I'm like, am I gonna buy the second issue? That's where I'm just like, do I want more of this? Because you're right, the balance is there. You have the heartache,
Mhm.
and then you have some jokes, but the jokes are more like everything you laughed at before. It wasn't funny. It was hurting his feelings. Every time he was making a joke, you have to feel bad for him now because he's covering up his true feelings. And I was like, I don't know if I like that angle because I want him to be the fun guy. I kind of live that life too sometimes. I'm the ridiculous guy in my friend group, in my family on purpose. Like, so I get it. I can relate.
Well, I went into this really not looking forward to it, and it totally blew me away. This is like 2 weeks in a row where I'm like, yeah, top 10 of the year for
And
me
speaking
for
of which,
sure.
I want to say I still, in all the Wednesday rewinds we've been doing, if people have been paying attention, I think DC is doing so much more than Marvel is doing right now. Marvel is coasting, just kind of doing what they've always done. Here's an event, here's this character, let's follow up on, ancient history and bring it back to the forefront. And I feel like DC is doing a lot of new things, or at
Yeah.
least interesting things that feel fresh and original. So like I'm more interested in looking at DC books now. Every time we put an X-Men book up, every time we put a Wolverine book up, I'm like, I know what this is gonna be. Like,
There,
I was surprised by Exceptional X-Men, sure, but it was also underwhelming because then it's like, it's not for me. It's not what I would
how
have
about this? How
ways.
about no more X-Men on the list then? Because
Please,
maybe
yeah.
that's our problem. It's the same thing. It's just slight variations, right?
Yeah.
It's like
Like,
these are government mutants. These are mutants run by this character, and these are mutants run by this character.
yeah, and for all of you who love X-Men, that is fine. That is your world. You
Yes,
guys are
yes.
fans. To us, it's kind of like dipping our toes, and every time we dip our toes, we're just like, still hasn't got me. I mean, except for that Gail Simone X-Men that you loved, right?
Yeah, it was great. But I do think there are X fans that are just all in on X-Men. Like I have a friend, it's only thing he picks up every Wednesday is X-Men books. So I think that's why they do so many, I guess.
Well, and I do want to say this, just so you know, the generation that is writing these comics now, in like a sidebar in the back of the book, they interview all the creative people involved in this book, you know, from the writer to the, you know, to the inker, to the colorist, to the letterer, everybody. And they're like, how did you find X-Men? And like 95% of them, oh, it's the 92 cartoon. Well, I just walked in one day and saw the 92 cartoon. And there was one guy who was like, because it seemed like he's a little older. He went to school in the 80s, and he's like, my friend had a copy of X-Men. It was our reading time in class, and I had to read something, and I was hooked. And I was like, I like that story. But everybody else is just like, I like the cartoon, so I thought I'd come write the stories. Not that there's anything wrong with that. How many people got in because of the cartoon? A huge, huge swath of fandom. But it
Yeah,
was nice to see somebody brought in by the comics too.
I was brought in from the action figures. Those the early what 89, 88 figures, or were they later than that?
I think they were 91 actually. I think
They
just that
were
first wave. Yeah, they were 90s. They weren't 80s, except
with
if you
the
count Secret Wars with
like
Wolverine.
the brown suit.
Yeah, the Browns with
Okay.
the retractable
Okay,
claws and the
so
mask.
it would have been that and the Jim Lee book, but then immediately after, within a year, it would have been the animated
Yeah,
series.
that's the
Yeah,
same for me. Is my friends and I, like, my friends were already buying X-Men comics, and then they showed me the comics and the toys at the same time, and I was like, oh, okay. But I had seen Pride of the X-Men too, though. You'd seen that, right? In the
I
80s?
had not by that point. I saw it in
Oh,
the 90s on VHS, but
oh,
yeah.
okay. Fair enough then. So I will say this, like as we get ready to go forward, I'm gonna be very interested. Yeah, if we're not putting X-Men, because there's gonna be too many X-Men just on the schedule always that Marvel's releasing.
Uh,
So we'll be a little bit more selective. We're gonna X out the X-Men for now and get a little bit more variety in our reading, but we hope that it will still be stuff that you guys are excited to read and find out a little bit more about. So make sure you're following us on social media at Wizards Comics on all the socials, and you can go vote there if you want to join our Facebook group. We put the poll up there as well to factor that in. So just find Wizards, a podcast guide to comics. In the meantime, stay subscribed here and leave us your comments below. You guys have been commenting on these videos. You're giving your thoughts and you're giving us insight. So thank you. We need your comments. We say, like, oh, yeah, this Ewing, she's a new writer. They're like, no, she's been writing for 10 years. Oh, okay, my bad. So just let us know stuff that we need to be informed on. But hey, in the meantime, keep your books bagged and boarded.